Hey guys, and welcome to the Week 16 predictions here. I'm your host, the commissioner of the Weekend Warriors Fantasy Football League. Yes, it's a playoff edition. We had an exciting week last week. I'd be remiss if I did not talk about my amazing comeback. I kind of just sat up like The Undertaker in the car just now, and that's how I kind of sat up and was able to beat Pearson last week. You never can count yourself out in fantasy, but last week it was at that point where I was like, me and Pearson were texting back and forth, and even him, when he'll never concede that he's won, but I think I was down 8 points. Mixon had just scored a touchdown, and he still had I had Trey Burton, who really lights the world on fire every week, and he had Brandon Cooks and his kicker, and I was down 8. And Amari Cooper scored that touchdown, and then I thought still was pretty much done. And then that 75-yard touchdown happened, and then after that in overtime, Amari Cooper caught another touchdown. Single-handedly saved my season. Brett had texted me and said, "Man, you must be loving this, but this is awful." I said, "That's not how I would describe it." I know Eagles fans weren't happy about it, but it was an amazing comeback, and I'm in the playoffs, and I'm happy to be here. So I'm going to do a recap of all the 4 teams that are in the playoffs. But before we do that, let's say goodbye to the 6 teams that didn't make it. It was a well-fought, hard-fought season for some of us. And let's just give a nice little... So, yes, goodbye. It's always next season. And now let's roll into the 4 teams that made it and how they got here. At the 4th seed, we have Kevin, last year's champion. He's kind of hot and cold, this guy. I can't read him. In 2017, he won the championship. 2016, 3-11, 9th place. 2015, won the championship, 2-time winner. 2014, dead last, 2-12. So if you're following history here, you would have thought that this year he would have been 8th, 9th, 10th place. Finished the season in 4th, and he's on his way to the playoffs. So maybe he shook that even odd breakdown. And Kev, welcome back. His team started off 4-4 this year, rattled off 3 straight in the heart of it, and was able to finish 8-6 with the 4th least points scored in the league. So from a point standpoint, the weakest of the 4 teams that are in the playoffs. And he also had the least points scored against, which is also the most favorable schedule. Chris might have something to say about that. Yes, Chris at 5-9 did score more points than Kevin's 8-16, but none of that matters. Kevin's here, and it's all about who gets hot in the playoffs. So welcome, Kevin, to the ring here. 3rd seed, myself. 3rd consecutive playoff appearance. A feat that I think in this league, as competitive that it is. I'd rather it be like Kevin and won twice, but I'm trying, guys. So still searching for my first championship in this league. Started the season 0-1, won the next 3 games, lost the next 4 games, and then finished 5 out of 6 with wins to finish 3rd. I'm also 3rd in the league in points behind Brett and Jake. Spoiler alert, they're 1-2, and I had the 2nd most points again. So adversity, man. I 0-1. That week 2 against Jake, I would have lost, but then Chicago's D had like 18 points or something and was able to, against Seattle, which was able to propel me to a victory. And then, like I said, 4 in a row losses, was dead in the water, and now again sat up like The Undertaker. So I'm here, and I'm ready to hopefully flex some dominance here in the playoffs. The 2nd seed, my opponent, Brett. Brett was a year removed from the playoffs, missed it last year. In 2016, he had a 3rd place finish. So, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you have not had a finals appearance yet in this league, but you're looking for your first, and maybe it will be this year. Brett is back. Started 6-2 of this season, kind of was flip-flopping the 1st seed with my brother all year long. Went 3-3 to finish the season, and honestly, he got a little nervous. Brett texted me the week before the playoffs. He's like, "Wait a minute, total points is a tiebreaker, right? Head-to-head's not the tiebreaker, right?" And I was like, "Brett, calm down. Total points is a tiebreaker. Even with a loss last week to Kevin, he would have made it. He won and locked himself in as a 2nd seed." So kind of limped the second half of the season, but I didn't do any standard deviation calculations. I didn't have time to do that, but if I were to bet, I think if we're going back to statistics class, Brett, I would think that he had some peaks and valleys. I don't think he was a model of consistency. I think he has a lot of weeks where he scored the most in the league, and I think he had a lot of weeks where he's probably in the bottom 3 or bottom 4. So that's just kind of a overall look, just doing this every week and kind of seeing where things shake out, and it's indicative of Brett's team. So first in points on the year, middle of the pack in points against on the year, Brett as the second seed. Welcome, Brett. And last but not least, the first seed, my brother. Last year was his first year in the league. Fantasy football sucks. Fantasy baseball is so much better. I don't know why you guys watch football every Sunday. I think when he was a kid, we scarred him because we used to take his TV that used to play Xbox on from his playroom, we'll call it. And, he just hated Sundays. He lost his TV for 10 hours. So, now he is a lot different. He's first in the league in points, loves fantasy football. Obviously, last year, first year in the league, finished 4-10. Now he's the number 1 seed. Only team this year with 10 wins. And what's really impressive about that is he started the season 0-2. I had forgotten about that. I bet a lot of you guys forgot about that as well. Jake started the season 0-2, kind of reminiscent of Chris T 10 years ago. I went back and looked. I think it was 2007. Shout out to Yahoo for keeping all those records. But when Chris had every Bengal on his team in the league, and then he got bounced week 1. So hopefully Jake won't happen to Jake getting bounced. But 0-2. And then winning and finishing 10-4 is very impressive. So 10 out of his last 12. Second in the league in points, middle of the pack in points against. Not to beat the dead horse here with the standard deviation, but I think Jake's team has been pretty consistent all year long. He had one week I can remember in particular where he scored like 59. If you take that out, he's probably been the best team all year. So moving on. That's great. That's how we got here. Now where are we and where are we going to go from now? It doesn't matter that Amari Cooper saved my season last week. It doesn't matter that Melvin Gordon's hurt. It just matters who's going to win this week. It's fantasy football. It's not fair, and it makes it fun. First matchup, Jake versus Kevin. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm getting so excited. Before we do that, I want to give you my predictions recap. 4-1 again last week. Another great week with the predictions. 43-27 on the season. That's a shade above 70% on the year. I'm very happy with that. After I think I always strive to be above 500, and I'm happy with 43-27. I have 2 more to predict right, so we'll see how I do. Jumping back now, Kevin and Jake, battle of my brothers here, one through law, one through life, but great teams. One key here, it's Thursday here, I'm on my lunch break, so one key note obviously is that Spencer Ware looks doubtful, and Kevin picked up Damian Williams. It was a good pickup by him. And Damian Williams should have a good week with Ware being out. So that's going to be a huge shift in the power of this matchup. Not only does Jake not get to use Ware, but he's looking at guys like Matt Breida and Mark Ingram to potentially take that spot. So definitely an interesting dynamic. Kevin's running backs have been no names, we call them, but really productivity. That's been the story of his team. After he got rid of Kareem Hunt, worked out for him. Aaron Jones has been great. He's going into Chicago this week. And he had an okay week last week, but at first it was a little concerning with the Jamal Williams usage. Kerryon Johnson, he has been good. He has not played recently. I don't think he's going to play this week either. Philip Lindsay has been good. Last week they thought he was going to have a huge monster week, just shoot off like a rocket, and unfortunately Denver just couldn't get it going. So maybe Lindsay will have a bounce back week here Saturday night. So Antonio Brown had a bad week last week. He should bounce back. Adam Thielen had a bad week last week. He should bounce back. Drew Brees had a bad week last week. He should bounce back. So despite some of his running backs that I think might be in trouble with their matchups, I think that these other skill position players should bounce back. Jake's got Big Ben. He's been banged up. He's going to play. New England and Pittsburgh has been a rivalry, and I think that's going to be a game in which Big Ben needs to score a lot of points. You got Mike Evans, who's had an up and down season. He's at Baltimore. That's tough. DeAndre Hopkins. Jake said he's been slowing down, and he has, but he's still very consistent. I think I'd be surprised if he didn't score and have probably about 80 yards against the Jets. Robert Woods against Eagles. I thought that was going to be a little bit more of a shootout. Despite what Nick Foles did last year, I still think it's a downgrade to the Eagles offense with him in, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But Nick Foles, I've discounted him before. He killed the Vikings last year. He did great in the Super Bowl, so it'd be pretty poetic if that'd be funny though, wouldn't it? If the Eagles made the playoffs this year with Nick Foles riding the coattails, they beat the Rams. Let's see. But Robert Woods should have an okay week at worst. And Saquon Barkley. At the draft, I took Melvin Gordon over Saquon Barkley. You go back and you kind of nitpick everything you could have done wrong. Melvin Gordon's been great all year. Saquon Barkley's probably the number one running back. It's him and Gurley, 1A and 1B. Last week when Gurley struggled in Chicago, I think Barkley kind of shows that he's game flow proof. If you're down, he can catch passes. He can still score. He's always a candidate to break off that long run. So it's going to be a close game. The Ware news really is killer for Jake. I think Jake had a comfortable position here where he is, being able to have the leg up as the number one seed. I think that Ware news, if he doesn't play, is detrimental and brings this thing closer to 50-50. But I'm still going to take the number one seed. I'm going to go with my brother, Rolls-Royce, over Kevin to win this week, and we'll see what happens. Good luck to you both, and hopefully I'll see you in the next round. Me versus Brett. So Brett joked around with me today. I can't wait to watch your prediction, and I know you're going to predict me to beat you. I always predict myself to win. Spoiler alert, I'm going to do that again. This is a very interesting matchup. Me without Melvin Gordon tonight is going to be huge. Just kind of like with Jake without Ware. If I don't have Melvin Gordon, my team loses its edge. I've had 3 running backs in the top 10 for the second half of the season with Melvin Gordon, Christian McCaffrey, and Nick Chubb. So without Gordon, I kind of lose that edge, and I have to play somebody like a Kenneth Dixon or a Cortland Sutton or a Jeff Wilson Jr. My name is Jeff, so it's like really difficult here to figure out. If Gordon doesn't play, I'm going to be at a disadvantage. That being said, Tyreek Hill's a little banged up. Mahomes, the no-look pass thing or whatever. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? He walks on water. Mahomes tonight is going to have a lot of points. There's no way around that. And I just got to hope that, Tyreek Hill doesn't have a game like he had against the Rams, and I'm knocked out of it already. So, but if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, it's going to be a hit. Been riding Jameis Winston. There's no way in hell I'm playing Jameis Winston at Baltimore. He stinks. He's just that offense, has a lot of weapons, and he's able to move the ball. Not against Baltimore. So I'm going to probably be relying on Lamar Jackson if he's healthy. I think that he can have some big play capabilities against Tampa Bay at home. Just got to hope he doesn't get hurt and doesn't play. Kenny Galladay's been great for me all year. I picked him up after week 1, and he's been consistent. The last couple weeks, he's been poor. So I need to hope he has a bounce back week. Amari Cooper, what else can I say about the guy? Honestly, he could come out and have 5 for 50. I think that's probably his floor at this point with Dallas. Or he could do what he did against the Eagles. I need more of that. I'm hoping for 100 and a touch. We'll see what happens. Flip the script. I got some other guys I'm not sure what I'm going to do in my lineup yet. Curtis Samuel, he's interesting. I got CJ Who's Your Mama at tight end right now. So, yes, there was a Hushmanzada reference. I'm surprised no one else has come up with that yet. This guy has the same name. Brett, Julio Jones. We already talked about Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. Kamara should have, obviously, a bounce-back week. He's actually been kind of not as good as he has been in the past, so we'll see what happens there. But it should be interesting. Listen, Brett, I'm not rooting for you. I think on paper there's no reason to think that the number 3 seed here being me could beat you. But last week against Pearson has proved me that maybe, and Pearson said this, and maybe it's true. I think that maybe, just maybe, I'm like the Eagles of last year and destined to win. We'll see what happens tonight. If Mahomes and Tyreek Hill combine for 60 points, I don't think I'm destined to win, but we'll see what happens. Good luck to you, Brett. Good luck to the rest of you guys, and I hope I see you in the finals. Commish out. Good luck, guys.